Hello and welcome to another episode of History with Andy Akright. I'm Andy Akright. You may be wondering, is he laying down? Yes, he is. I am laying on a hand-dug well from the late 1800s. Probably can't see anything, but you can probably see the edge of the rocks there. Late 1800s, probably used throughout the 1900s. It's 15 feet deep. And there's a creek, Cedar Creek, that flows through this land. Now, this is Lone Elm Park. Now there's a couple sections of Lone Elm Park. There's one with baseball fields and everything. This one has 2 picnic areas. It used to just have one, and it has a new little playground. So it's exciting. It's still growing and bringing some more people out here. So this is the part where it's the history part that meets it. So the baseball fields and sports fields, but they're not attached to the history. So we get a little bit here. Lone Elm Park, a lot of people ask me all the time, Andy, why was it called Lone Elm Park? No, I don't get asked that a lot. It was called Lone Elm Park because there was only one elm, but we'll get there. Okay, so City of Olathe, Kansas put up these 4 signs, really nice signs, explaining that this was on the Santa Fe Trail as a camping site, 1-2 days out from Independence or Westport. Hosted the Bidwell Bartleson party. It hosted the Donner party. It hosted Kit Carson. And you'll see some things that are you might recall if you've watched some other videos. Archibald Rice Farmhouse. That's the Rice Tremonti home and Aunt Sophie's cabin. And it's coming down here. Independence, where it started there. Landing, Blue Mills Landing. That's right up by, close to, what's the fun? Choteau's Landing, Westport Landing. So, Westport Landing and Independence Landing. There. You have Military Road coming down from Fort Leavenworth. Fort Leavenworth coming to protect everybody here. The Shawnee Indian Methodist Mission. Now, I need to make a video of that because it is very important in the last vestige of the missions in Johnson County. The Quaker Friends Mission, the Methodist Mission, and the Baptist Mission. And you have the route through Gum Springs. Gum Springs now is today Shawnee. This is probably Shawnee Mission Parkway and Neiman's, probably right here. Johnson Drive's right here. And you would have Andrew Reeder, the first territorial governor of Kansas. His house was here. And diagonal behind it is a Native American burial ground with the family of Charles Blue Jacket and Joseph Parks, Chief Joseph Parks, who was a liaison to Washington, D.C. You have Flat Rock Creek Campground right behind Oak Park Regional Medical Center. And we're here, Lone Elm Campground. Campground, Mahaffey Stagecoach Farm. It's the last stagecoach still standing in its original state. But this Lone Elm Campground, that's where we are on the Santa Fe Trail. So the Santa Fe Trail, right, they would split up south of Gardner, Kansas. And here we are in Olathe, Kansas. There's the Lone Elm Road and all that jazz. And this is what it's all about. So there's three big things, right? 3 big things you need for choosing a site to stay. You need grass for your animals. You need wood to build a fire or to repair your wagon. And you need water. Water for your animals, water for the people, right? And good clean water, especially from springs or from wells. Now that well that I was laying on top of would be dug much later, but still, good clean water, you want that. You know, water is the key to life there. Now, it wasn't always called Lone Elm. Okay. At one point, it was called Round Grove. Round Grove. So in 1820s, they had a ton of trees, mostly elm, probably. And then over time, people kept taking and taking and taking and taking and taking. And we see here a passage from D. Jaeger, and it's from May 18th, 1849, May 18th. Happens to be my birthday, so I gotta read it. Here we go. A few currant bushes are scattered along its banks, but no other tree in sight, and this old tree will never put forth its leaves again. The hunters have long since robbed it of nearly all its branches, and the numerous parties who have encamped here this year have nearly stripped it of its bark also, and the lone tree of the prairie will soon form a landmark no more. Lone Elm. So think of it as, say, Chimney Rock. Okay, so Chimney Rock. Now, if you are leaving the trail and it's only a day or two out, somebody would give you directions, and you would look for this lone elm tree, and it was a big elm tree by all accounts. And it was on a hill, little hill, so people could see it, and it would be a point where they would know they could camp, and they would camp along Cedar Creek. They usually camped on a line right along the creek, and that's what they did here for the most part from the writings. So that's why it's called Lone Elm Park, because people would look for the lone elm. Just like Chimney Rock you would have as a landmark, you would have other things along the way to look for, and there we go. Some of the famous travelers that came along, right? There'd be tens of thousands of travelers that came along here. And they were, had to face the hardships as well. They've had to face cholera, the deadly disease there. Kit Carson made his first trip down. 1826, he was here as a 14-year-old. He later became a trapper, trader, scout, and was a colonel in the United States Army under General Stephen Kearny in the Mexican-American War. They're also the Donner Party, right? The Donner Reed Party. The infamous Donner Reed Party who cannibalized in the Rockies. And we have an excerpt from John Breen's book, Pioneer Memoirs, 1877. He said, "We arrived at a camp called the Lone Elm across the Missouri line. This place was thought to be the limit of civilization. At this camp, we met some hunters returning with furs, and they gave us some dried buffalo meat and told us that we had no idea of what we would suffer before we reached California. This prediction proved too true. At this camp was an elm tree, the only tree of any kind in sight. I shall never forget the loneliness of the scene, boy though I was at the time." So he was actually staying at Lone Elm Campground at the same time as the Donner Reed survivors were coming back, gave him buffalo meat. Kind of interesting if you want to maybe think about it as some other kind of meat. Who knows? But foretold of that. Here you have a picture of the Joseph Henry Binghamton family. And you can see life was not so easy. Some of the kids have hopeful looks, but the parents not so. Okay, so great. It's a campground on the Santa Fe Trail. But how's it become this? Well, 1857, Newton Ainsworth took over the land. He started farming it, started growing on that. He was very proud of it. He was very proud of living on this land. He said he built a cabin. It was only 10 foot by 11 feet with a ground for a floor. So there's the first cabin erected in this part of the county. County. Now think about it. This was a time when Kansas was not a state. Like, it was not a state back then. This was all Indian land before they had the Indian Removal Act, and then they had Kansas-Nebraska Act. So the Kansas-Nebraska Act brought the white settlers down, and they could take the land. So this land that was once savage land that you would never go through, except for if you were a frontiersman, a fur trader, or something like that, now became hospitable. And here's a picture of his farm. It's from 1874 Johnson County Atlas. And you can see residence and stock farm of Newton Ainsworth, breeder of shorthorn Durham stock. And it's Olathe Township, Johnson County, Kansas, section 23, T14, range 23. And shorthorn Durham, Excelsior, 2 years old, weighed 2,003 pounds, awarded first premium at Kansas City Exposition in the 2-year-old ring, 1873. So he bred this cattle here. And it's the map of Olathe at the time. And he's down here. So got that down here. Now, he was very proud that it was part of the Santa Fe Trail, and the Daughters of the American Revolution did recognize this with a marker in 1906. And how proud was he? He made his own postcard. See, here you go. At Lone Elm since February 27th, 1857. That was him there. Now this marker, if you go to the corner of Lone Elm, you will see it up on a hill. It goes down a ditch, and then it's up on a hill. But the marker is still there from 1906, from the Daughters of the American Revolution. Still marked. And they have a very nice sculpture of a wagon train led by buffaloes. I don't know if you can see it, but just the edge. But if you travel down this, you will find yourself in the Circle Drive, little playground, and these 4 signs, the hand-dug well, and some nature trails. So this is Lone Elm Campground. This is why there's Lone Elm Road in Olathe, Kansas. I'm Lone Andy Akright. I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you next time, and thanks for watching.